Hey y'all, welcome back to Life Unscripted with KC. I'm KC, and today I need to talk about something that I think is a little serious. Again, filming at a crazy angle, but I'm in my car. So, I heard on Fox News about this cruise ship stuck out at sea because it's not being allowed to come into port anywhere, and supposedly they have the Hantavirus on board. So when I got to researching it before I brought it onto a video, um, I first asked Grok, and I did not like the response that I got, so I went to the World Health Organization website. And so that's where I'm going to bring you a lot of this information. So as of May the 4th, there have been 7 confirmed cases. Okay, 2 of those have been lab verified. Now this is you can test for it via a blood draw, so this has been confirmed. From what I have read, there have been 3 deaths, and there are, I think, a total of 7 that are sick on board. The bodies have been removed. I believe that they are going out, they're taking another boat out there and removing the people who have passed away. They're also taking the people who are really sick to hospitals. So this thing has already come off of the cruise ship, okay? It is characterized by fever, GI issues, and respiratory distress. And from what I understand from reading this article, and I'm going to hyperlink it, I'll pin it to a comment below so that you can click on it and go read the article for yourself. Let me get to the important part. So on May 2nd was when the lab testing was conducted in South Africa, and it confirmed the hantavirus infection in one patient who was critically ill and in intensive care. On May the 3rd, one additional death was reported. Further, 3 suspected cases remained on board. As of May the 4th, a total of 7, 2 confirmed and 5 suspected cases, including 3 deaths, have been reported. Now, here's the thing. From what I have read about the hantavirus, the incubation period is 8 weeks. So if these people, from the time that they left, I forgot where it was, they left Antarctica, I believe. They've already been out to sea for 4 weeks. If this thing has an incubation period of 8 weeks, then where did this thing come from? They have already ruled out that rats being on board. They don't think that the rats are there. They're talking about maybe some of these passengers went on an excursion and maybe into a cave and came into contact with an aerosolized, feces or urine or rat something. It's kind of gross. But I have another theory, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. But there's a summary of the cases on here, and I want to kind of go over that. So case number 1 was an adult male who developed symptoms of fever, headache, and mild diarrhea, and that was on April the 6th. By April 11th, the case had developed into respiratory distress and died on board. The body of the passenger was removed from the vessel to St. Helena, which is a British overseas territory, on April the 24th. Case number 2, and I believe that this was this other passenger's spouse, an adult female who was a close contact of case 1, went ashore at St. Helena, so the same place that her husband was taken to, with GI symptoms. She deteriorated during a flight to Johannesburg, South Africa, on April the 25th. She later died upon arrival at the emergency department on April the 26th. On May the 4th, the case was subsequently confirmed by PCR with hantavirus infection. Now, somewhere in here, so I'll read it verbatim if I come across it, but basically what the hantavirus is a combination of viruses and diseases that are carried by rats. It does have a 40% mortality rate, which is extremely scary. I had flashbacks of coronavirus because there were people out on the ship and they couldn't come into port and all that stuff. But coronavirus only had a 1% mortality rate. This thing has a 40%. Okay, so let's go to case number 3. Case number 3 was an adult male, or is an adult male, who presented to the ship's doctor on April the 24th with a fever, shortness of breath, and signs of pneumonia. On April the 26th, his condition worsened. He was medically evacuated to from Ascension to South Africa on April the 27th, where he is currently hospitalized in an intensive care unit. Laboratory testing on an extensive respiratory pathogen panel was negative. However, PCR, which is a polymerase chain reaction test, was done and confirmed hantavirus infection on May 2nd. And this is the last one, case number 4. An adult female with presentation of pneumonia died on May the 2nd. The onset of symptoms was April the 28th with a fever and general feeling of being unwell. So this goes from a fever to some GI symptoms, which rapidly goes into respiratory distress. So once you get sick, apparently this thing moves pretty quickly. Oh, they left from Argentina. That was it. So they left from Argentina about at this point, probably 5 weeks ago. But as I said, if this thing has an 8-week incubation period, then them going on an excursion and catching this and bringing it back to the ship doesn't make any sense. So here's a little bit of information about the hantavirus. So the human hantavirus infection is primarily acquired through contact with the urine, feces, or saliva of infected rodents, or by touching contaminated surfaces. Exposure, lost my place. Exposure typically occurs during activities such as cleaning buildings with rat infestations, though it may also occur during routine activities in heavily infested areas. So somebody went somewhere where they weren't supposed to be. That's what it sounds like. And here's, although uncommon, limited human-to-human transmission of hantavirus due to Andes virus has been reported in community settings involving close and prolonged contact. So in the context of current outbreak, passengers and crew members should practice frequent hand hygiene, yada, 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 and then monitor for symptoms for 45 days. 45 days. Let's see if I can find, there was something else I wanted to bring to your attention. So basically all they're saying is standard precautions. You know, when you go to the bathroom, wash your hands. If you're touching anything outside, touch your hands. If you're playing in the dirt, wash your hands. There is no treatment for this, guys, and that's the thing. There is no cure and there's really no treatment. So from what I read, the only thing that they are doing as far as treatment is IV fluids, and if you're starting to experience respiratory distress, they put you in a medically induced coma and put you on a ventilator. So they put you on life support at that point. I did do a quick search to see if I could get an update on the people who are still alive that have been taken to the hospital, and I have not found any updates on them at all. However, here is my concern with this. Being that they have only been out for 4 weeks, and this has an incubation period of 8 weeks, this came from somewhere else. Or is it being done on purpose? Was this something that, you know, somebody did on purpose? Because we're getting threats all the time of bioweapons. You hear all the time of different diseases being stolen. Now, this is totally my opinion. This did not come from the WHO's website or this article. This is just me stating what I think. If the incubation period is exactly 8 weeks or close to 8 weeks, I would say this did not come from this ship. If it has a variant, let's say, you know, anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks, it still, to me, seems like this, whoever brought it onto the ship had to come in contact with us prior to getting on that ship. I did see a video of a guy basically in tears. You know, he has family waiting on him back home, and can you imagine being on that ship, confined to your cabin? You know, how long is the food gonna last? How long, you know, how safe is the ventilation system? You know, if it's respiratory, or if it's aerosolized, it's going to go through. You're all breathing the same air on a ship, right? I believe there was like 140, I want to say 147. It was over 100, but less than 200 passengers and crew on this boat, or on this ship, on a boat. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to bring that to you. Like I said, I am going to pin a comment down below with a hyperlink to this article. Leave me a comment down below. Do you think this was malicious? Do you think there were rodents on board, or do you think somebody went out on an excursion and got into something they weren't supposed to get into? So anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video. This is really it is a free way to really help this channel grow. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye, y'all.